There's going to be times in your career where you're not going to be doing as much, and you'll look around and you'll see all of these other people doing all of these fantastic things, and sometimes that can really feel like a pang inside. It really feels like a hit to your gut, especially when you're in the process of making something and it's not your time yet. Inside your body it feels like jealousy, but underneath that is your body telling you this is what you want, and it in transmuting that jealousy into drive to move towards what you want with speed, with ease, not to rush, but with passion, can help you get to that finish line. These emotions can be really hard to navigate, especially if you don't feel comfortable talking about these things, or it feels quite shameful. You don't want to come across as mean or malicious in any way, because that's not what it is. Of course, not understanding how to transmute or handle those emotions can lead to decisions like that. But if you've got morals and values, then you can turn those feelings inward. What is this saying about me? And what I always like to say when it comes to jealousy or feeling those feelings of feeling invisible or feeling isolated or on the outside, that everything great that you see in the projects and the creations that other people are making right now are all things that exist within you, because reality is a mirror, and everything that you have experienced is through your lens. It's through your eyes, your brain, your body, your soul. And so you're recognizing that in somebody else. This can be a very pivotal moment for you, where you're faced with a choice. Do I continue even though I'm afraid that it's going to be bad, even though I'm afraid it's not going to measure up to what somebody else is doing? Or do you succumb to that pressure? Are you going to succumb to that pressure and not do it? Are you going to let other people live your dream while you sit and, wonder what if? There is space for everyone. There is enough room for you to breathe, and there is enough time for you to cultivate and take your time and build your brand. Who are you? What do you like? I talk about this so much in my videos, but it's truly something that has gotten me through the most frustrating times of, falling into traps, looking at other people and what they were doing instead of focusing on me. And that is the most important thing. Everything comes back to you. Every feeling and emotion that you have about somebody else and their career, it's not about them. You are not living through somebody else. Okay, you're not trying to be them or take from them. You are turning all of that energy inward, and you're using that momentum, those frustrating and yucky feelings, to be closer to yourself, to understand yourself and what you desire, and then transmuting that into passion and drive, not to beat somebody else or to prove yourself, because it's not about proving yourself. It's about uncovering the strength of your inner artist and allowing them a platform to stand on, allowing them time to be the best that they can be, to be the fullest version of yourself that they can be, the most authentic version that they can be, because that is the most successful version of you. There's nobody else like you, and that's not just to gas you up, it's a fact. There's nobody else that will express this the way that you are going to express this, and that's valuable. And it's important not to have standards about these things as well. Have goals and reach for those goals, and don't ever limit yourself, but don't base your happiness and your satisfaction on achieving those things, because those things could take time, and it's not about that. Every step that you take is leading towards these goals that you are aiming for. And even if the project or whatever you're working on and whatever you're ready to release into this world doesn't get you to that goal, it doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And you're going to have times where you feel like you're on the outside, and you're going to feel like everyone else is ahead of you. So reframe that into being a slingshot. You're being pulled back, or you feel like you're being pulled back, but it's so you can propel forward. You're a constant work in progress. Your art is constantly going to evolve. It doesn't have to look like somebody else, feel like somebody else, be at a level of somebody else. It just needs to be you. That's all it needs to be. Time is such a funny thing as well. It's like, you feel so anxious to get ahead and to feel like you're progressing. And sometimes it feels like you are going backwards. But those moments will teach you the most about yourself. And if you can build that stamina and that ability to get back up again and again and again, even when you feel like you are completely invisible and no one's checking for you, no one's waiting for whatever you're about to do, that is the key. It's not so much about being a complete artist and having a complete vision and executing that. It's a constant work in progress. It's about being able to withstand feeling like you are nothing, like no one cares. And there will be people that do care. You just need to keep going and just keep having that faith that you're being led somewhere really beautiful, and the depth of being in those times and what it can tell you about yourself by being in introspection, feeling jealousy, envy, frustration, anxiety, like all of these feelings that just swirl around inside of you. And instead of projecting that out onto other people, really feeling that and asking yourself, what does this say about me? What is this telling me about myself? I think that too often these feelings are shamed, and people don't want to talk about those feelings with other people. They don't feel safe. They don't have people to talk about those things. I'm talking about it, okay? And I'm telling you that those feelings, you can see Aussie in the back, those feelings are so valuable, and that introspection will take you so much further, being able to withstand those times where you feel terrible about yourself, your career, everything, and maybe you're working on something that or you have a feeling, you're like, this is it, but you have to be patient, and you have to let it evolve, and you have to let it breathe and become its own thing, right? So trust that process. Don't worry about the time that it's going to take, right? I was even feeling quite anxious the other day about, like, oh my gosh, I'm like, am I too old to be doing this? I always talk about that. I'm like, don't worry about aging, it's fine. Like, just, I'm human. I'm going to think about it from time to time, but it's never something that I ever let fully consume me, because I know that it's only a matter of time before I get to fully express what I've been trying to express for years. And I've come this far in 4 years, and honestly, I'm really, really happy with that. I'm so happy with the progress that I've made. I'm just a completely different person than I used to be. And every day counts, I want you to think about this stuff every day. If you can remember it, not in a way to shame yourself or put yourself down or anything like that, but just think about these things every day. Remember the things that I'm saying every day. Really think about it. What does my jealousy tell me about myself? What is it trying to say to me? What is it telling me that I want? How do I get that? You got to be your own best friend with these things, because sometimes you are going to stand alone, and you're not going to have anyone in your corner. You're not going to have anyone to validate you. You have to learn how to do all of those things yourself. And building those skills will take you so far. And it doesn't even have to be in terms of success, like, you know, commercial success or whatever, but like just in terms of like self-discovery, life satisfaction, happiness, fulfillment, those sorts of things. Because really, at the end of the day, that's all we want, you know. We want to feel that creative satisfaction where we're like, yes, I made something that accurately represents what I want to express. And that does take time. It takes nurture, you know. I feel like I'm only just getting to that point now after 4 years of figuring out who I am. And that's not to say it's going to take 4 years for you, but I tell you what, that time goes by in a flash. And if you think about these things every day, you just chip away at it, you know, you are your biggest project, you know, you are the work of art. When I meet people who I know did music or whatever, and then they sort of don't do it anymore, or they're like in like an off period, and they say to me like, oh yeah, like, I don't know, just like don't really, you know. I'm like, oh, like it breaks my heart, because I'm like, no, just keep going. But like, you know, not everyone sort of has that drive or that motivation, but that's what I want to do here. Like, I want to activate that, and like, yes, you can do it, and you can commit to it, and you can get through anything in order to do it. And I think that, you know, part of success comes from not stopping yourself, you know, not self-sabotaging and allowing the down times to stop you or discourage you or whatever anyone else is doing. Don't let it stop you. Just don't let anything stop you. You've come this far. You've decided that this is it. There's no plan B. There's no plan B. Just go all in, you know. Don't worry about what anyone else is doing. All it's doing is inspiring you. You know, it's just misdirected passion and drive. And that's all I have to say about that. So, thanks for watching. What do I say? I've forgotten what I say at the end of my videos. I hope that this video helped, and I'll see you in the next one.